Hi, hello, welcome to another episode of Man with a Mentor. I am the man, your host, Matthew Barnard, and you may be wondering what a show called Man with a Mentor may be about. And basically, it's about me finding the most interesting people I know and picking their brain to see how they got to have the amazing, successful place where they are right now in their career. And I have a great guy here right now, and his name is Isaac Jones.
Hello.
Welcome, Isaac.
Thank
All
you.
right, I'm going to read something
Okay.
about you. Isaac Jones is a company dancer with Dayton Ballet, has choreographed works for Dayton Ballet, Dayton Dance Initiative, and Dayton Dance Conservatory Company, and is on faculty at the University of Dayton. Let's go back
Okay.
and tell me when you kind of first got the knowledge that like dance existed. Like, were you 3 years old and somebody rolled you in a class, or you saw something on TV, or how did it come into your world at whatever age you were?
Yeah. So my parents really wanted myself and my siblings to be very active. So they first tried a bunch of different little leagues. My favorite story, my dad remembered it very differently than me, but he was coaching my baseball team, and after I missed catching the ball because I was off drawing flowers in the field, he was like, well, maybe this isn't for you, and very gracefully let me leave the team. But my mom's friend suggested I try tap dancing.
Oh.
So I was about 6 years old when I started tapping, fell absolutely in love with it. I still have a vivid memory of like stepping out under the stage lights for the first time and doing my little sailor tap number. And then I think I was 8 years old when I started ballet, very recreationally at first, but I very much like caught the bug, and it kind of just kept snowballing from there.
So when did the notion in your mind hit you that I don't want dance to just be a hobby? Like, how can this be in my life as a career, as a day-to-day thing? Like, when did that come to you? And how did you know that you were good enough? Who told you were good enough? And like, what was the training that you thought you had to go through to get to the best place?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think I was about 13 when I was like, oh no, like I want to do this for real. And I had a very, I would say, mature conversation at 13 with my parents about it. And my mom did a lot of research and found a training school. I grew up in Michigan. In Michigan that was with a Russian coach. And she was like, this is the best training in the vicinity. It was still an hour and 15 minutes from my house. And I was there from 14 to 17. I was training there like 6 days a week. And took it very seriously. I was not graced with the facility for ballet. I'm tall, but I didn't have the feet or the turnout or all these natural things. So as most dancers experience, I had a lot of people, even at a young age, say this is probably not going to happen for you. But I had a teacher, this Russian teacher, who really saw something in me, and at one point he said, I think you'll make it to be at least a soloist. And cut to now, I've had the fortune of dancing a lot of principal and soloist roles in my career. So working with him, and then Cindy Buzek was another teacher of mine who was incredibly influential, and she really saw something in me artistically and really nurtured that. So it was kind of this mix of people who saw me and believed in me and really pushed me to get here.
What were your friends like? And how did you fit them in?
Right. So, I would say the predominant amount of my friends came from ballet. And then I also, during this time, went to a charter school where we, instead of doing the normal high school system, we were enrolled in college classes instead.
All right.
So every semester was a new group of people, which really helped socially because I got to know all these different people and keep in touch with people. Oh. So yeah, I would not say I was a social butterfly by any means. I was very hyper focused. And I have to thank my parents, who they passed 2 years ago, but I still love to talk about them. My mom did most of the driving. So she would drive me the 45 minutes to school, pick me up, then drive me to ballet, then drive the hour 15 minutes home so I could study in the car. My siblings, I'm the youngest of three, they're incredibly smart humans. For context, my brother's a doctor and my sister's a prosecutor. So very smart people. So I think they also, like, I had them as examples growing up. So, like, I wanted to emulate that. And I also did, like, enjoy the learning process. But I think also at the time, academics, being successful in academics was a means to get to where I wanted to be as a ballet dancer. Because with this charter school, I graduated a year early. So I graduated at 17, and I graduated with my associate's degree, which was kind of how I was able to have a conversation with my parents of, I want to go and do my ballet career now, because the academics will always be there, and I can always go back to school.
Right.
But a dancer's career is fairly finite, and I felt ready to go. I, at the time, really wanted to get into a company from the get-go, which is also fairly common. I would actually say that used to be more of the norm, and in the past, I would say decade, we're starting to see the collegiate route be more common. So it's really dependent. And then when I decided to go back to college, I didn't want to study dance because I was like, well, I've been doing this professionally for X amount of years, so I want to get my hands into something else that could benefit me in the long run. So it's really
Ooh, what was that?
dependent. I just actually completed it. My Bachelor's of Science in Communications from Ohio University, which I did all online because obviously I'm here.
All right.
So a lot of dancers do that as well. One of my best friends, Ashley, she now dances for Ballet Rhode Island. She just finished her master's degree online from NYU. So that's also becoming very much part of the norm, is dancers being in college while also dancing professionally.
Was there anybody who was like, Isaac, there's like 800,000 ballet dancers out there. Like, are you going to have the goods to compete?
First year, when I left home to join a company as a trainee, that was a very eye-opening experience. Being in a company full of all this incredible talent. And here I was at 17, not the best facility, not really having been in this world before. I would say it was an incredible learning experience, but I would say career-wise, that was probably one of the hardest years. Because also as a trainee, you're very much bottom of the barrel, and you're seen as such. And then, I will say there were a lot of really wonderful people there that really advocated for me and again, saw something in me. So there was always a balance. But yeah, I think a lot of it, because art is so subjective, that one director may love you, one may hate you. Different choreographers, because even once you get into a company, you're still in a constant realm of maybe being told no, maybe being told yes, and the mind games are still all there. So yeah,
You're really selling it, right?
Right. No, it is. It has been a wonderful career.
Let me ask this too. When you're in, do you feel like I'm in for as long as I want to be in, or is there like, oh, they're doing auditions and all these people are coming in, like? Is there a fear that you could be on the outs, or do they tell you that, or do they just say like, Mark, Jacob, and Jason are coming in next, and you're like, how do they let you know? I mean, you haven't heard that yet, but are there people you've just seen like get cut out of the company they're in, and you're like, what? Why?
That's a great question. I will say usually with ballet, contracts are seasonal, so our season runs August through May. Right. We usually would have meetings in the second half of the season where the director and you have a conversation, see where you're both at. I will say what's really lovely about Dayton Ballet is there is a commitment to the dancers. And our director, Brandon Ragland, has been really wonderful and very upfront about, like, he wants us here. He wants to work with us, which is always lovely to hear from a director. Right. So I think a lot of times it's more of when the dancer is ready, at least in my experience, everyone is different. Of course, if there is an issue or a breach of contract or something like that, that's a whole different conversation.
What is the world of being a male ballet dancer like? Is it as much like diva behavior? Is it like you're all just a cool bunch of blokes? And what would you say if you could pull the curtain back a little bit and say what it's really like?
Yeah.
What is it really like?
So I would say definitely a lot of over dramatization in, film and television. It is not that. I would say I'm very fortunate here at Dayton Ballet. We are, if I had to use an expression, we are kind of just a bunch of blokes. But even, I think we're a very supportive company of each other. Not only the men, but the women as well. We're very, of course, we all, love to get to have our moments, but I also think we're very supportive of each other when that person gets a moment. Because we're also an unranked company, meaning that, like, a lot of companies have, like, their principal dancers, their soloists, and their corps de ballet. We don't have that. So what's nice about that is it allows opportunity to spread. So one show you might be the principal, one show you might be in the corps. And I think, though, what that does is that it creates an atmosphere that is fairly healthy, where we're not Black Swan. We're actually enjoying working together, which has been really nice.
Let's talk about how things change. What did your practice look like, say, when you were like 13, and what did it look like when you were 22 and now you're 30?
Yes.
Or, no, can I say that?
Yes, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
Every day when we're in season at the ballet, we start every day with an hour-and-a-half ballet class, which is, pliés, tendus, all the things that you learn as you're growing up. So all of that basic training stays with you, and you have to do it consistently in order to maintain. So the training always is there. It does shift. I would say a big thing being a quote-unquote older dancer now is that, like, I have to dedicate more time to warming up before class. Because when you're 13, or even when I was 22, you could show up 2 minutes before, kind of pop a hip, and then you're ready to go. But now, like, it's a much more finessed process of getting ready for the day, and also, like, maintaining your body throughout the work day. So yeah, but the basics kind of stay the same in terms of how you get from A to B. But I think the little details in between are more of what tend to shift. I would definitely say I'm a much more thoughtful dancer now than I was younger age. I'm much more focused and interested in all the in-between details versus, like, the big moment, and I think that's important. Yeah.
You're also a choreographer and a teacher. So 2 questions.
Okay.
Out of choreography, teaching, or dancing, is there one of those things where you feel your life is turning more towards, or that you like better now, that or how do you, if you're choreographing a piece, which you've done, and that you're in and working with other dancers, how do you keep, like, putting the hat on and taking it off and putting it back? Like, how do you deal with that?
That's a very good question. So part one, I would say, dancing and, like, the performing and being a professional ballet dancer still is my favorite thing. I do have a joy of teaching and choreographing. I don't plan to pursue being a full-time choreographer. I would love to continue choreographing throughout my life, but I'm not tied down to making that my career. And with teaching, I'm definitely open to seeing, particularly once I retire from dancing, like, where that goes. And I really love teaching at University of Dayton. I really have loved teaching for the Dayton Ballet School. I used to teach at Interlochen Center for the Arts over the summer. So I do really have a passion and love for teaching, particularly with older students, whether they want to go professional or not. But there's just something about working with, particularly at UD, all these, like, college students who have never danced before in their life, and just seeing how their appreciation for the art form grows through the semester has been really wonderful. So that's really made me fall in love with teaching. And then with choreographing in terms of like working with my peers, it's always a tricky balance because you have to toe the line between like you are running the room in that moment, but they are still your peer.
Right.
So I try and keep the environment light generally. If I have something I want to fix, I want to be clear that like I'm not giving a correction to that person so much as I'm just trying to fix the way I want the choreography to look, which I feel like is a helpful difference. So yeah, I think it's important. And I also think I try to go in every time in that situation and be like, well, remember, Isaac, they're your peer. You know, they've had a long day. You've had a long day. So I also know what it's like to be in a room and like be exhausted and maybe not wanting to give 100% that day because it's just not physically in me. So when I'm in the front of the room and if there's a dancer who's having a bad day, because we all have bad days, we're human, recognizing that and not taking it personally because I know it's not about me, they're just having a bad day. And that's okay. They're allowed to have a bad day. And then if someone's being super receptive, that's also, you know, wonderful and great. And so yeah, I think my general thing with working with peers is trying to keep the environment light and not act like I'm all of a sudden the boss.
Okay, what's the best piece of dance-related advice that you like ever got? Like, I guess not even in terms of like dancing. In terms of like go to school here, study this there, like whatever. You know, like it doesn't have to be like what was happening in the dance hall. Like just something regarding dance where you were like, that was the key that unlocked the door for me. The critical thing.
Yeah, that's such a good question. So the first thing that comes to mind, so I'll let this be my answer. When I was I danced for Eugene Ballet in Oregon for 4 seasons, ages 18 to 22. And I believe it was my second season, I had my contract meeting with the director, and she said, you know, Isaac, one thing I really like about you as a dancer in my company is that you have an ability. This is going to sound like I'm just giving myself a compliment, but there's a point, I promise.
You can.
Okay. But she said you have the ability to take something that seems like nothing and make it interesting to watch. And I want you to own that and to run with it more. Because I think she was quite aware at the very young age, I was so focused on what I wasn't doing well. I was very focused on the technical elements of my dancing, which I'm still working on today. You don't just throw that out the window. But I think I was so fixated on what was wrong with my dancing that she was like, but you have this gift and this ability that is not something that can be trained. Like it's either innate or it's not. And she's like, so I want you to focus more on that and like nurturing that side of your artistic self and running with it. And that has been a great piece of advice because I think as dancers, like imposter syndrome, we're so focused on what we can't do that we often forget the things that we can do and trying to nurture both. So.
Right. Now let's flip this on its
Okay.
head. What's something that you wish someone had told you about the life of a dancer that you were like, oh, you know, I needed that. I needed to hear that.
Yeah. I would say, because I think particularly when you're young and like training, it's very much like there's a lot of love and a lot of, you wouldn't do this if you didn't love it. But I think I wish someone would have maybe told me like, when it becomes your job, there are going to be days and times where it feels like a job. Mm-hmm. Like you're not going to love every second of it. That doesn't mean you don't love it because you do. You know, right. It's a career where you have to love it. It has to be the option that you want. But it's also like we were talking about with bad days. It's okay to have a period of time or time where you're burnt out or want a break. And because I think part of me started feeling like in those moments like quite guilty. Because I was like, well, you've been given all this opportunity, like you're doing your dream job, like why aren't you loving it in this exact moment? And it's like, well, because you're a human and like you have emotions and feelings and that's okay. So yeah, so I think it's allowing yourself the space to like still acknowledge that you love something and want to be doing it, but right now you just might be a little tired.
Say someone came to you, say you were in your like early 30s, and they said, Isaac, I've been dancing with Chippendales or Thunder Down Under or something, like, you know, I'm making a mint. Like, would you even contemplate, like, it's still dancing, or would you think like, I am not doing that?
Well,
or,
no, that's a fair question. I would say personally, it would not be something I would be interested in doing. I say whatever floats your boat, you know, if that's something you enjoy and, you know, that's how you want to make it, like, that is their complete right to do so. Personally, it wouldn't be something I would feel comfortable doing. So yeah, so it would probably be a no from me, but you do you, would be my reply.
Let's talk about what's next. And do you want to do shout outs for social media for things that where people can find you?
Well, I do keep my private life quite private, so probably no socials today. But thank you for offering.
Right.
In terms of what next, you know, I'm gonna keep dancing, keep teaching, keep as my degree says, communicating. Gonna be planning a wedding, so that's gonna be the next thing. And yeah, and it's also funny because my fiance and I were recently talking about this because we were, you know, we're not gonna do like a big, massive wedding and, you know, run our bank accounts dry by any means, but we were talking about like what a wedding meant to us, and we're like, well, there is so much in the world and in life that is so heavy and so hard, but this is one moment in time where we can bring all the people we love, bring them into a room and just celebrate like this moment of happiness that we can then reflect on. So we recently had that conversation of like, all these hard things are going to happen. So if you can have and find these moments to just like sit and enjoy with the people you love, like, why not take that in and embrace it?
All right. Well, I want to thank you so
you.
much for being here and sharing what it's like to be a ballet dancer, and because I can't imagine like what it's like when you've never done it. It seems.
Well, I encourage everyone who's interested to try. You know, maybe you won't become a professional, but if you're interested in taking a class, a lot of places offer adult classes, and it's just fun. You know, it is actually a lot of fun, and I think that's, even as a professional dancer who's been doing it for so long, it's still quite easy to still find the fun and the love for it. So.
Right. Yeah. Do you know actress Goldie Hawn?
I do.
Yeah. She started off as a dancer. And she was one of the dancing girls on Laugh-In in like 69 or whenever that show was on. And she's, I think, almost 80 now. And she still signs up for like different dance classes because she loves to do it, and that's her happy place. So we circled back around to doing whatever it takes to find happiness, and I'm so glad that you were here. And Isaac Jones, thank you so much. And thank you for listening or watching another episode of A Man with a Mentor. Thank you. Thanks, Isaac.
Thank you.